picks and bans here, there's going to be need to be more synergy and cohesiveness to find the kills. They tried over and over again onto Arkkyl. They weren't quite finding it there. Maybe they could have shifted their attention onto Zyrhoes instead.
Right away, the first ban going to be Thoth. I think this is the right choice. Worth noting, Zyrhoes is a famously strong Aphrodite player, which you mentioned
yes.
Aphrodite over there in the solo lane, but Zyrhoes can certainly play that character in the mid lane, and in fact, it's going to get banned one more time. So no Thoth this time around. Team Dignitas will ban Nike and Khepri, and CycloneGG are left with the first pick.
Ratatasker could be potentially picked up yet again for iceicebaby because Team Dignitas could flex it between QvoFred and to Variety, but instead taking the Fafnir away from Trixtank. I think it's not necessarily Trixtank playing this god very effectively. I think it's more of the strategy that Team Dignitas portrayed with Fafnir, Ram, and Toph. The mid to late game was just too strong coming out of Team Dignitas, so taking that option away.
Cabrakan will be selected by Team Dig, similar to Fafnir being very effective last time for Cyclone. I think Cabrakan was one of the shining points for CycloneGG over there. The solo laner Death absolutely really utilized his character, both trapping an Arkkyl a number of times. Whether it amounted to a kill was a different story. But when you're a good team like Team Dignitas and you wind up with the win, you can see some of the things that gave you trouble along the way and the potential for more trouble. And Deathwalker on that Cabrakan, certainly a potential for more trouble.
And not only that, this is another flex pick coming out of Team Dignitas. This could easily be played by QvoFred. Batz though going to get locked in for CycloneGG. iceicebaby has been known to play this Batz rather effectively.
Batz is a character that is very interesting because he's generally always acceptable in the meta. He doesn't really do much between levels 1 through 4, but once he hits level 5, that ultimate can really change games. Now, with the introduction of hi-rez Lament coming out about halfway through last season, he saw a surge in pickup because it just vibes so well with his passive and what this god wants to do. Now in Season 4, with pressure being, early pressure specifically, being such a big driving point for these teams, why is Batz being selected when he doesn't really exist before the ultimate?
It's all about the disruption coming out of the ultimate, but before that ultimate, he needs to find ways to farm. Both teams are looking for ways to invade each other's jungle, which will help the jungler just to kind of safely do it, which is weird as you're diving closer and closer to their jungle. But if they're diving your jungle, you can dive theirs. So either way, that should put iceicebaby in a position to get level 5 and look for the disruption to prevent whoever's going to play that Cabrakan from finding any assistance once he goes in.
Apollo, another character that's been very popular here in Season 4. He's had some of his adjustments to the wave clear really changed, and of course the global ultimate and audacity. This character is generally always good when he's able to clear the wave, so he's going to be selected here in the first round for Team Dignitas. Hercules and Giannis banned out by Team Dig. Odin will be the first ban from CycloneGG, and they'll follow that up with the Nemesis ban. Not really convinced that Kuvo is going to be playing this Cabrakan.
I'm surprised that Team Dignitas elected to ban the Giannis instead of the Ra, because that Odin ban coming out of CycloneGG leads me to believe that this is going to be more than likely a Ra pick.
Well, the Sylvanus on the side of Team Dignitas with Odin out of the picture, you can safely go Sylvanus. He gets in trouble from Odin a lot because of the lack of the healing shutdown, and of course the fact that, well, Sylvanus doesn't have a jump, so.
And the thing is, from Team Dignitas, Sylvanus is one of the best supports in the level 1 to be able to clear that duel. And you got Khepri, you got Sylvanus. Those are your two go-tos to be able to effectively clear. Kukulkan, though, from CycloneGG. It makes sense as to why that Odin was banned now. Exactly.
Kukulkan here is going to do a similar job as the Poseidon as far as the objective secure. A lot of damage coming out, so Cyclone should be looking for these early objectives, especially looking at Fafnir and Ram. A lot of these Gold Furies should just melt. Team Dignitas going to give Variety his tier one more time.
Trixtank onto the Sylvanus here. We see Variety picking up the tier, so QvoFred should be playing this Cabrakan. It's going to be a lot of aggressive frontline action out of Team Dignitas, and that's what they're all about. Zyrhoes having another bursty mage, this time on the Poseidon, as well as we're going to see Arkkyl just passively farming on the Apollo in the early game, although he could be aggressive against his opposition Vogue whenever he really wants to. Rama doesn't really have too many options in terms of outboxing an Apollo up until he maxes out his steroid.
One of the big changes that Cyclone are going to have to make is the tempo. I mentioned this earlier on in the sense that in game number 1, they had a mid-game team composition and they just didn't really do much, totally. I'm looking at this composition, and admittedly, iceicebaby on the Hun Batz a little bit later than the Rat, but everybody else, honestly, I'm looking at Wlfy, Kalas, and Vote. The left side of this map, I need to, and I stress need to, see some early golds.
And we're going to see a lot of early aggression immediately from Team Dignitas. No hesitation. They're going to be playing really close to that tier 1 tower line between the Sylvanus and Apollo. You can't really block the in-hands coming out of Sylvanus, no matter how hard you try. So this double range composition has to be conceded under the tier 1 tower.
Big wave clear coming out from Wlfy on the Kukulkan. That's to be expected. Decent wave clear coming out from the guys on Team Dignitas, more so than Cyclone. That's going to send both sides, left and mid, into the enemy jungle and take away their respective buffs. Red going to be gone, as well as speed. Interesting to say that Team Dignitas didn't stop for the little guys like most teams do to hit level 2.
Because the fact that they put so much pressure in the dual lane, more so than the last game, and with the Sylvanus and the Apollo with Audacity, you're going to be able to clear the red buff even quicker, and that's still going to give you level 2. As long as you're not really afraid of any sort of contention between Kalas and Vote, you might as well go for the red buff, because now your in-hands are hurting even harder. You're going to be able to clear the wave a little bit faster, get the purple buff, and then continue the pressure.
So here we have Deathwalker on the Erlang Shen this time around. This character has seen a little bit of a dip in popularity. Not as many people as attached to him as before. Arkkyl gets in a little bit of trouble, gets his bees chased out. Trixtank going to be chased down by 3.5 players. Vote and BK trailing from the backside. Half HP on the Guardian, getting the basics. He's in trouble. This is going to be a death for the support player. The tree can't go anywhere. It's just a matter of time. And Wlfy able to take him down. It's first blood for Cyclone.
1 on 4, nowhere to go. He had to sacrifice his life to make sure that Arkkyl survived, but QvoFred finding a kill onto Deathwalker in the solo lane there, getting caught a little bit out of position there. This is going to really snowball QvoFred. He's already level 4. iceicebaby not even level 3 yet.
Yeah, we saw when we visited the solo lane right before the first blood, Deathwalker had maybe 20% HP. That's being generous, and it's normal for solo laners not to have maximum HP, but when you're that low and you're going to sit that low, it's the enemy solo laner's job to really communicate that to the jungler.
Deathwalker is still trying to figure out a way to get back into this laning phase. We see already QvoFred level 5, Variety about to hit level 5 as well, going for their own speed buff. And with a level 3 Erlang Shen in the solo lane, this is not something you really are picking Erlang Shen for. You have to be ahead.
So as we see the Oracles go down to Team Dignitas, talking about Deathwalker and his decision to stay in lane, very low HP. Like I said, that's going to be the time where the solo laner calls the jungler over and wants to make the play. Ice level 3, he's going to join the party despite being relatively low. Is this a situation where Deathwalker called iceicebaby over? When do the solo laners need to communicate to the jungler that they need help?
Well, at this point, it's just about clearing the wave. He can't come close to Variety Deathwalker. He's already behind level-wise, experience-wise, and gold-wise, so he has to figure out ways to out-clear Variety. And if that means bringing on your jungler, then so be it, because right now, you're still waiting for the jungle buffs to respawn anyway. You're either going to be sharing the wave between middle and solo lane, and with the Fire Giant Elementals coming up here, as long as you clear that solo lane first, you should be able to grab it, but it seems that Variety did back, but QvoFred is in position to get those Ellies.
Yes, he's going to be able to pick them up, no problem, although he'll be sniffed out by some other players. Cuvo or iceicebaby just going to throw out the monkey, not going to find it. Level 4 still. Variety giving chase along with Trixtank. Get the grab, he finds it, but beautiful beads coming out from Ice, and that's going to turn a situation from very bad into totally fine.
Speed buff is about to respawn, and this is why we see Team Dignitas in position to make that play. Not only are they getting the speed buff, but they got the purification beads out of iceicebaby. That's going to be on cooldown for another 140 seconds. Now, granted, Trixtank did use his ultimate, so not going to be looking for a team fight quite yet, but once that's back off of cooldown, should be ready to go is Team Dignitas. Deathwalker, though, very aggressively positioned.
Yeah, he's been chased out just a little bit. The Fearless in the power cleave. He got some help from QvoFred as well. The ultimate not needed just yet. Tremor's not going to be enough to kill, but, I mean, Deathwalker is 70 miles behind enemy lines. Really doubt we're going to see a clean and clear escape coming out from the Erlang Shen. He's still battling And there he goes, Variety with kill number 2 for Team Dig.
It's still too early for Cyclone to take advantage of the out-of-position Deathwalker to be able to get a Gold Fury themselves, not really having the damage out of Vote. Only level 6 on the Rama, finishing off his Warrior Tabby. We see on the flip side Arkkyl. Level 7 off of that Invade. It's going to still be able to apply a lot of pressure. We see Callus sitting in the lane a little bit, making sure that Vote doesn't get even further behind. So heading into the 5-minute mark here, Team Dignitas getting a little bit of a better start than last time. At this point, the game was even. It was even up until the 12-minute mark, but Team Dignitas saying, no, this time around, we're going to be able to get everything we want and then some.
And again, I got to point to the solo laner. Last time, I think it was a light in the darkness. The team didn't perform well as a unit, but the Cabrakan was a silver lining. Deathwalker looked pretty good. Here, I think it's kind of the opposite. Already with 2 deaths, one of which was solo, if I'm not mistaken. Certainly not off to a strong look right here. And when it comes down to it, Toli, Deathwalker is just not having the same impact on this Erlang Shen that he did on the other character.
And he's caught off again in a bad spot. He's trying to retreat. We see the ultimate coming out of Callus. It's going to buy him a little bit of time to survive, but with the rotation from Trixtank as well, the sustain is solid.
No real response there just yet. Variety still just looking for the objective. Gets it, jungle camp goes down. Cyclone just simply watch. Early game, almost 2,000 gold in the lead for Team Dignitas. And relatively speaking, that 1,700 gold right now means so much more than it could later on. This is actually a very strong lead for Team Dig.
I like what Vote did on the oracles. He found one of the oracles and then he immediately retreated. He recognized that we're not going to be able to have any sort of, they're not going to be able to strip away the vision coming out of the oracle, so he went to the back left Harpies just to maximize his farm. And this is what you really want to do as a hunter player, especially when you're already struggling and behind 2 levels to Arkkyl, sitting level 9 on this Apollo. We can see a lot of aggression. Looking at the 2 builds here, it seems that Vote elected to go for the health chalice, trying to stay in the laning phase as long as possible.
Yeah, most of these Apollos have been going early lifesteal. We've seen a number of different builds coming out. Europe, not as close to the Devo Gloves build of yesteryear as North America. Some crit, some non-crit. We've seen a bunch of different changes. Apollos generally tend to go for that lifesteal, so trying to keep up is the Ram with the health chalice would be my thought process. No Devo Gloves out of Arkkyl just yet. I expect we'll see the Aussie a little later on.
See a lot of aggression out of Team Dignitas yet again, stripping the speed buff away from Ice. We're trying to, rather. They're being aggressive. Callus forced to jump away. The Fear No Evil onto QvoFred. Wlfy throws out his ultimate, connecting onto Variety. He's forced to retreat, getting taunted back into danger. Trixtank with a nice 4-man ult. The snipes are coming from Vote. Finds one, misses the second, going for the third, switches target onto Cuvo.
iceicebaby able to slam down on top and get number 2. For CycloneGG, and that's all the fight will result in. The single death of QvoFred in the jungle. 1-1-1 for him on the Cabrakan so far.
Finding that kill onto Cuvo was so important. Now, iceicebaby could look for more ways to get back into the game, but with the rotation coming out of Vote, Arkkyl elected to stay in that laning phase, not even going to use his ultimate to go into that team fight, almost grabbing this tower. Kraken coming out, not really on the mark onto anybody. Red buff was stripped away, though. Zyrhoes walking away clean.
I think right there, a lot of times we use the euphemism zoning ult when somebody completely whiffs. I think right there, I think it's actually applicable. Zyrhoes pops down the ultimate to make sure nobody can really bother him and his teammate doing the red buff, and that winds up giving Team Dignitas the objective. It's a small objective, Toli, but it's certainly an objective.
Cyclone could take advantage of that, though, around the Gold Fury. That's a huge tool for Team Dignitas to be able to use that Kraken to secure the Gold Fury, whether or not they're the ones that are starting it, or whether or not they're going to be defending against Cyclone. Either way, though, not electing to press on towards the Gold Fury. Instead, they're just going to be losing their blue buff in the process. Deathwalker already struggling now, not having that blue buff, getting pulled back into danger is Wlfy, but QvoFred not really in position because of that tornado cutting half of the lane apart.
CycloneGG, I think, really what it comes down to, Toli, the lack of Gold Fury play right there was iceicebaby's ultimate was on cooldown. There's a number of objective controlling ultimates and abilities on the side of Dig, looking at QvoFred and Variety, that even without a Kraken can cause trouble for the opponent.
We see Variety forced to use his ultimate away. QvoFred is in position now. The offensive dash heal. No more mana for iceicebaby, but the wall from Cabrakan not cutting off the escape path from iceicebaby, able to barely squeeze through that one.
A rare misjudgment coming out. Oh, the heal is on cooldown. Variety's in trouble right now. With the power cleave on cooldown, this is totally applicably a kill. Miss Fearless coming out. Big missed opportunity. Cyclone can't find the solo laner. That was definitely an opportunity for a kill. Variety jukes underneath the tower and gets a little bit of help from his friend Trix. And that's going to leave Cyclone without a kill.
These rotations have been so well timed coming out of Team Dignitas. QvoFred was in position to find the kill. Slight mechanical mistake, not finding the wall. And then the rotation from Trixtank, able to bail away Variety despite missing that heal, which is why we saw Cyclone want to dive that tier 1 tower. Not on the mark was the hammer coming out of Callus, but either way though, still looking for the offensive plays despite being behind. Shows that this is a team that's not afraid of any sort of diversity.
Well, I mean, absolutely not. I mean, this is Cyclone's second year in the league. Vote going to try and steal this one away. Gold Fury still in trouble. Last shot available. They're going to pause DPS. Love
Smart.
the play coming out from Team Dignitas right there. Just a well-oiled machine, looking like Team Dig able to extend their lead to 4,000 just after the 10-minute moment. This is a very commanding lead for Team Dig.
Grabbing that Gold Fury without the crack in there was Team Dignitas. Cyclone wasn't taking advantage of that cooldown from Zyrhoes, so walking away with a really comfortable lead heading into the almost 11-minute mark. And more importantly than the gold is obviously the experience. Everybody from Team Dignitas is getting the better end of this one. Variety, non-stop bullying process onto Deathwalker. This is why Variety has just been such a great soul laner ever since the ending of Season 3.
Portal Demon to be started. Variety flips over the top, gets controlled by the Fear No Evil. There's the ultimate out of the mid lane, and Cyclone confirm their objective. Deathwalker in some trouble from Variety. Thinking about competing, not going to go for it.
No buffs on the right-hand side to really strip away. Left-hand side, red buff being started by Vote. Around the corner is Arkkyl, not going to get there quite in time, so level 12 Rama finally hitting that off. Should give him a decent power spike to be able to box Arkkyl with this red buff. Could look for some aggression here with iceicebaby on the speed, but has to be very mindful about this Hunbats with the speed is Arkkyl.
Purple falls down. It's going to be successfully defended by the guys on Cyclone. Trix is off the mark with the pulse, so no player stuck in that mid lane just yet.
About a 3.5 to 4,000 gold lead coming out of Team Dignitas. They're still looking to put pressure onto every single tower that they can. They're grouped up in mid, they're grouped up in the solo lane, as well as just leaving Arkkyl in that dual lane by himself. He already got the tier 1 alone, but this is what you want to do when you have an Apollo. You want somebody to contest his split push, use that ultimate to get back into the action, and then you'll grab a tier 1 tower on the opposite side of the map easily.
Right side, a little bit of contest over the solo lane tower. Deathwalker trying to defend it by himself, surrounded by 3 players. Taunt is good, and the heal should show up shortly. iceicebaby walks on in, has the ultimate available, not using it just yet. Arkyl's ulting over, waiting, biding his time, finds a lone target, but we'll see Callus jump away on the Faf.
And this is what we were talking about, Arkkyl making the rotation, but Team Dignitas didn't get anything out of this quite yet. It's going to allow Vote to actually get a tier 1 tower of his own. Still in a position to maybe look for mid, maybe look for solo. Instead, Arkkyl is just going to walk over to the dual lane because he needs to defend that tier 2 tower. They don't want to have Variety teleport over quite yet. They need him to dive that backline with all his fearlesses. He's just been on point disrupting that backline.
Zyrhoes here in the jungle. Might have been caught off guard by Arkkyl, but I think Arkkyl was more afraid of him than he was afraid of Arkkyl.
I think Zyrhoes was actually looking for Vote there, but just couldn't quite find him around the corner. He thought that he went around the red buff side, but either way, not finding it. But look at this, Team Dignitas finding Wlfy out of position, getting caught under the wall.
And there's going to be the big shot out of the mid lane. QvoFred, 40% HP. He's going to be chased out already. Not going to be a part of the game just yet. 13.5, and kills are tied, folks, but gold certainly not. Cyclone has been able to shorten the lead just a little bit, but they're still trailing by under 3K.
Finding the tier 1 tower on the left-hand side puts them in a better spot, gives them a little bit more vision control, more map control rather as well, as long as they have a wave pushing down the left-hand side. It's going to be an interesting matchup in the late game between Vote and Arkkyl, this Apollo and Rama matchup. We haven't seen too much boxing coming out of them in the dual lane. We see them both without any sort of kills. Only 2 assists onto Vote with those snipes that he's been able to do. Solo lane side though, Variety yet again finding a Fearless onto Deathwalker, still just buying a little bit of time as the rotation is happening from QvoFred and Trixtank.
So right now, heading up the mid lane is going to be Wlfy here on this Kukulkan. This is a character that I think might become a little bit more popular with some of the changes here. We keep stressing about the early game push, and those Cyclones are, you know, numero uno when it comes to that.
You want to be able to control the whole entire lane whenever you can with the Kukulkan coming out of Wlfy. He should be able to really look for the follow-up there because he has iceicebaby to set him up beautifully with that Fear No Evil. And as long as you can catch a couple people alongside of the wall, that tornado is just going to absolutely melt everybody. And if they're along the wall, that's going to be another easy target for his ultimate form.
Players jockeying for position a little bit early around this Fire Giant. Tully
looking for something to do around the Portal Demon Fire Giant area. Was taking earlier on, but not really utilized too effectively out of Cyclone. They're just trying to find a way to get that gold to be able to minimize the lead that Team Dignitas has been able to develop. It still hasn't been too much pressure, I would say, with only 2 and 2 on the scoreboard. A little bit faster than the last game around, but look at this Team Dignitas. They're going to start up the gold here. They have the Kraken onto Zyrhoes with the red buff, and that could be an easy objective secure, but with Cyclone right around the corner, have to drop it for now.
it's just a test. It's just a test. They want to see the response time of Cyclone. It's the classic response time test right there. Mid lane, different story. This one seems to be an all-in. QvoFred getting it controlled, but he walks out of the Kraken. There's the response, the ultimate from him, jumped over by Collis. Ult for ult, Team Dignitas gets control. 3-man Fearless into the power cleave. Variety goes ahead and nabs one. Fantastic play into the solo lane, completely turning the fight around. QVO takes out Wlfy. There's one for Variety as well. It's gonna be 3 down in total. Team Dignitas out of control, all on the back of Variety.
Variety with the Lawbringer into the triple Fearless, and then Arkkyl making the rotation as well. Your 2 silent. This is what you want out of your 2 side laners, disrupting the flow. We even saw the dash Mesmerize coming out of Arkkyl to be able to set up an easy kill out of QvoFred, finding the blink into the overhead smash, finding the kill onto iceicebaby. So now a second gold Fury going on the way of Team Dignitas off of those rotations, finding a 5,000 goal lead around the 17-minute mark. This is a much quicker paced game coming out of Team Dignitas than the last time around, and I wouldn't be surprised here if they start grouping up on the right.
Well, you have a completely different draft here, Tully, and really that's what it comes down to, is the fact that these teams, when you're playing Smite, your draft will dictate your gameplay style more often than not. The Nemesis and the Thoth, you gotta wait till 20 minutes for them to be effective. The Poseidon versus the Cabrakan on the other, the Poseidon and the Cabrakan on the other hand, completely different. They're able to start the game a lot earlier and make these high impact plays.
Level 12 Callus was thinking about starting up a little bit of a team fight there, was getting cornered, but either way, Cyclone's just going to walk back, regrouping, still figuring out what to do quite now as they're struggling to get back into this game.
So going back to that gold Fury, Anatolia, I really like the result of it. A nice little stun on Trixtank will not entice Cyclone to go all in. So we see the play on the Gold Fury, which we both kind of acknowledged was not a hard fought. They weren't necessarily looking for the gold. They wanted to see some response time, but a side effect of that Gold Fury was the fact that everybody groups up in the mid lane, because everybody shows up at gold to defend, and they wind up in the mid lane. Grouped up for Variety come and shove.
It's just a small game of tactics, almost sort of like chess. You know, not every single move has to be a move going forward. It's all about a move about repositioning yourself until you slowly put pressure to the point where you're choking your opponent out as they have no more room to go.
Exactly. Team Dignitas really understanding the push and pull and the delicate balance of the map, because that's really what it comes down to, is a balance of players here. Fire Demon Portal going to be aggressed on, half HP so far. Team Dignitas playing deep zone, going to retreat back.
They still did a little bit of poke there onto Callus to be able to get him a little bit more pickable in this next team fight that's about to happen. Team Dignitas all grouped up in the mid lane. Variety still figuring out what he wants to do. If he rotates yet again, that's going to be a lot of trouble for a Cyclone. That last Lawbringer Fearless, you have to be mindful in every single team fight. Like, all right, has Variety used Lawbringer yet? No? Okay. don't be grouped up.
It's one of those really silent abilities. You get a little bit of a sound cue, but it's close to the execution, and you just really don't hear it. It's got the largest windup visually in the game, maybe comparative to like Xingqian Ultimate. But outside of that, I mean, visually, you can always see it coming, but you don't always hear it coming. And so when he makes that wraparound play around the backside, like Variety does all the time, we've seen it twice in 2 games, it's just so problematic for the teams that he's going to jump on.
We saw the Portal Demon being taken by Team Dignitas, extending their goal lead to about 6,000 gold. Nice little stun from onto Trixtank, making sure that Kalos wasn't going to get rooted or pulled away from that tier 1 tower. Team Dignitas still looking for more offensive plays. They're all grouped up around this middle/right-hand side of the map. We even see Vote on the Rama making the rotation from the right.
Missed grab coming in from the Sylvanus player right there. Team Dignitas pushing down the mid lane. There's the Whirlpool out of the Poseidon to separate the teams just a little bit. Tier 1 tower goes down without a hitch. It's 500 gold in the pocket for Team Dignitas, and they lead by about 6,500 gold.
20 minutes into the game, Team Dignitas has just been on point. Game number 1, once their composition came online, they started snowballing relatively quickly. This time around, Team Dignitas, with a better early game composition, has been making the plays necessary. Being jumped on is Variety, but Variety doesn't care. He's just going to juggle Kalos away.
Good positioning coming out from Team Dignitas. They're able to collapse on their enemy. There's the ultimate out of Trixtank. Shots from Vote. Now he's just going to wait. It's more defensive than offensive. He falls in the pool. Will avoid the Kraken thanks to the crafty use of relics. Deathwalker, on the other hand, the dot is strong. Last basic can't find the home. And Team Dignitas aggress, and they'll likely get the tower, but they won't get a kill.
Variety diving into the back, forcing the purification beats out of iceicebaby, finding that tier 1 towers without finding any single kill is all they really wanted. This is a game of inches out of Team Dignitas. They know what they can get away with, and they're just relying off the back of the sustain from Trixtank. Even though they may or may not have been successful in certain team fights, as long as they're all alive, they will eventually win.
Ice has to be careful here, Toli.
He does, but at the same time, he has Vote right beside him to apply a little bit of that artillery pressure from his Rom. We even saw just how much damage he did through the wall there. You have to respect the level 17 Rom Astral arrows.
Absolutely, and take a look at the build. We haven't really touched on builds too much as of late. Gold Fury going to go down to Cyclone here. Looks like without a hitch, honestly. You can take a look at the Hunter builds across the way. Rom very focused on the basic attacks as per usual. He's got the Igavalt, the Aussie, and the Chin side. This is a pretty standard build coming out these days. The non-crit attack speed build. On the other side, we see the Devo Gloves build come out from the Apollo, another relatively popular build, albeit more so in North America.
Hunters are starting to slowly adapt to a strategy that they want with their itemization. We saw a lot of crit builds coming along with Poison Star and the Wind Demon earlier on. Nice pull onto iceicebaby, but no follow-up. But going back off of the Hunter builds, with a little bit of nerf onto the Poison Star, a lot of these Hunters are now going to be experimenting with more of these later choices, and which is why we see this late game choices between the Apollo and the Rom.
50% HP, Team Dignitas is going to unleash the Gold Fury. And they're going to just obliterate iceicebaby. Kalos jumps in and jumps out, followed up by Tyr. Fearless is going to be controlled by Deathwalker. Love the play right there coming out from the solo laner. And that'll stop Variety, and that'll stop the push. But it won't stop the Gold Fury. Team Dignitas pick up another objective. And they're almost 9,000 gold in the lead just 22 minutes in.
Not having the purification available was iceicebaby. With a quick death like that, no fear, no evil available for CycloneGG means Team Dignitas will just win the team fight outright. They traded the ultimate from Trixtank to be able to find that kill. Getting that Gold Fury, getting this tier 2 tower, extending their goal lead to almost 10,000 now. Deathwalker trying to force something here, but he could get caught out of position.
And he will, controlled and just bowled down by the ultimate. Out of the mid lane, Zyrhoes is able to drop one and get the kill. To the sky, and it goes Vote, finds it this time around. Zyrhoes can't escape the Astral Arrows. And the ultimate out of the Rom will take the kill. It's 1 for 1, but Team Dignitas did go ahead and get a tier 2 tower. So, depending on how you're looking at it, folks, with the 10,000 gold lead, Team Dignitas might have come up in that situation.
Variety, though, he still wants more. He's going to zone iceicebaby away. The ultimate is not available for the Batz, but it is available for Callus. Actually, it's just faded away. So all the ultimates are off the table for Cyclone. All the ultimates, with the exception of Arkkyl, though, is available for Team Dignitas. Fire Giant is still a point of contention here. Zyrhoes is still dead for another 20 seconds. Getting caught out of position is Arkkyl, but Trixtank fighting a 4-man knockup.
And the follow-up coming out from QvoFred, trying to find somebody to stun. Finds the tremors on iceicebaby. From the sky comes Arkkyl, deals some damage to Vote, not enough. Wrap around from the backside is Deathwalker. Variety don't care. Takes out the monkey, still on the chase, looking for Vote, gets a hit. There's the slowdown, gonna be immune by the Aegis. Still looking for the hit out of the power cleave, will be controlled by the rest of the team. Arkkyl on the upside gets Deathwalker. 2 down on the side of Cyclone. Everyone healthy on the side of Team Dignitas. And Variety, while he looked like he was chasing kills, was successfully zoning. And Dignitas will start with the Fire Giant
You
here.
have to respect the Trixtank onto the Sylvanus here. And this is why they didn't necessarily care about Sylvanus. Dignitas knew that during picks and bans that would have seen a different selection coming out of them. With Fafnir being locked in first for Cyclone, electing to take away a specific strategy, Dignitas just walks away with a second strategy where they're just going to control all the space that they want with the Sylvanus and Poseidon combination. Now, off of the back of those 2 kills, walking away with the first Fire Giant of the game.
First Fire Giant might be the only Fire Giant they need, totally. 11,000 in the lead, Variety not showing any signs of stopping or slowing down. Taking the tower for his teammate for the moment. Shifts over to QvoFred, tier 2 on the right side goes down. That'll be another 1,500 in the pocket for Team Dig, extending their gold lead to about 13 grand. That is a very commanding moment in time for Team Dignitas.
Compared to the last game, yes, indeed. It was about almost 8 to 10,000 gold the last time around at this point.
So Dignitas, as I mentioned, last season Dignitas played with a completely different roster. Team Dig acquires Variety's new squad this time around, and with a completely different look. Cyclone admittedly was on the lower end of the teams last season, having to go through relegation. Team Dignitas, I think, clearly are not one of the bottom teams. How do you think they stack up against some of the more established talent in the Smite Pro League?
It's still really early to tell, obviously, because of the fact that it's the first game of the season. There's still 7 weeks to go. CycloneGG is still trying to find their footing. Now, they have been a roster that's been together since the last split, but it's still not really enough time. And with the coach, Hazer, being taken by Obey Alliance, not having that coaching for picks and bans really definitely hurt them here.
Big wipe coming out from Team Dignitas, very casually, as they're just dominating the opposition by way of numbers. That looks like to be the game, in all honesty, folks. We're going to see 1 player res. It'll be the support player, Cabrakan, but I don't think it's going to be enough for Cyclone to defend. 1 Phoenix should be good enough. And with the Whirlpool coming down, 26 minutes on the clock, Team Dignitas take game number 2 versus Cyclone. So welcome to Dig, the new roster, and welcome to the SPL with 2 wins.
Finding themselves 3 points. It's a great way to start off the SPL Season 4 Spring Split for Team Dignitas. Looking so strong, every single member out of Team Dignitas.
Yeah, very, very strong performances from pretty much everybody across the way. I liked what I saw out of Variety. I think you were feeling what you were seeing over there in the solo lane as well. Taco, how'd you feel?
Well, F-Dot, I honestly thought that was a pretty dominating performance coming out of Dignitas, especially in that second game. But first of all, we got to break it down in that first game. You could really see, like Totally mentioned, the gold lead wasn't really as commanding the second time around, or the first game around. It didn't really start snowballing for them until around the, I'd say, 20-minute mark. They got the 3K gold lead, but then as soon as that happened, it was just snowball after snowball after snowball. 3K turned to 6K at 25 minutes, and then right away it just controlled and went and developed even further into a 14K gold lead. And let me tell you, they had so much map presence and dominance control on the side of Dignitas, and it really came out on Zyrhoes with that Thoth. He was just a non-stop machine playing aggro, and it was phenomenal. The way that he just utilized the Thoth ultimate and his stuns, he was ensuring every single time that he was stunning at least 1 or 2 members on Cyclone and really causing a lot of calamity for them, considering the fact that they didn't really have a way to respond once their team was just getting CC'd out, burning actives. Overall, a very, very strong performance from Zyrhoes on that Thoth, and I mean, he came out full Birdman for this. He was just every single moment that they tried to respond, just another stun, just another kill, and another secure for Dignitas. And all that objective control overall just led to them developing such a commanding experience lead that I just don't think that there was really much of a way for Cyclone to really come back as soon as Zyrhoes got rolling on that Thoth. And I mean, sure enough, after a certain amount of time, there's only so many Thoth stuns and ultimates you can take along with the rest of Dignitas' roster. And eventually, it just led to Dignitas going ahead and picking up that first game pretty soundly, I'd say, after that initial kind of awkward start where it was a little bit slower, you know, took about 35 minutes before the game could even really get closed out. But overall, I would definitely say that that synergy seemed very on point. And then going into the second game, you could see it was a lot faster the second time around. But this time, we all know the man of the hour is, as always, Variety's tier was an absolute destroyer of dreams on the side of CycloneGG. Just every single Fearless was so on point. He was non-stop burning actives, controlling maps and the team fights. And overall, it's just so hard to really develop any kind of response when you just got a tier non-stop fearlessing your team, burning their actives, and ensuring that they're getting picked up for the kills. And Dignitas overall was just off of the back of this tier on the side of Variety. He just controlled it. And I mean, that's kind of what you expect anytime you see Variety on this tier. And I'm frankly quite surprised that Cyclone would go ahead and let him run it back 2 games in a row, especially for the opening set. But I'm sure Variety enjoyed his time with it because he looked more than confident on that tier, just like we've always seen him perform. And I mean, he's got to be feeling good about himself after those Fearlesses. So needless to say, Dignitas went ahead, second time around, a much cleaner set from them, I think, than what we've seen overall. And I think overall, it's just amazing. But most importantly of all, we've got Trixtank here, and I know that Trixtank is really excited to go ahead and share how he feels about today's games. What's up, Trix?
What's up? What's good? Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good.
Are you
it's
feeling
always
pretty good?
It's always good starting off with 2 wins, so we're pretty happy.
Yeah, how do you feel as far as like comms and everything after you guys, you know, we went through the whole roster swap, but you seem really clean out there.
I mean, coming with a new team, it's always hard to get used to, and I still feel like we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do. I feel like we had a really good performance today overall, though, and I'm happy about that. But we have things to work on, and hopefully we'll come out on top this split, and yeah, we'll just be better. We'll get better as time goes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys are feeling pretty confident picking up the first 3 points in your set today. So that's gonna be a great feeling. How much fun were you having on that tree, by the way? I know that you like to play, you know, the Fafnir jumping in, but
I got like 5 manos and 4 manos all the time. It was really fun playing Fafnir, but Sylvanus. But yeah, I mean, it's always fun playing the tree.
All right. Well, hey, congratulations to you guys, of course, for picking up that set win. And is there any kind of shout outs you want to go ahead and give?
I mean, I just want to shout out our new sponsors, Dignitas, obviously, and all our sponsors. And I also want to self-promote my my stream a little bit, maybe.
Okay, I see.
I started streaming a lot, so if you guys want to come hang out, then you can check me out on twitch.tv/Trixtank. A little bit of self-promotion there, but thank you.
Hey, no shame in that self-promotion, Trixtank. And for those of you who missed it, that was Trixtank, the support for Team Dignitas, coming out and performing really well with the rest of his team. But